This is May 17th, 2012, and the purpose of this video is an introduction to my section on observing hunter-gatherers. The main foundation here is that is a phase that separates humans from their predecessors. And I remember having an opportunity to speak with Bruno Bettelheim, who did research into folk tales, and he respected folk tales because he found them in the same types of tales in many different cultures, the same as are found in the Jewish Bible or the Christian Old Testament. Stories like Cain killed Abel, the jealous brother, and these types of things are told in other cultures. And Bruno's assessment was that before writing, which the Jewish stories of Abraham are from word of mouth for 500 or 600 years at least before there was written language to record them, that the concept here is that what is helpful, that we've got a close-knit community with elders that pass on the information, elders being respected in a healthy culture, and passing on the information that would help younger people do well and have insight. So having to do with hunter-gatherers, I look at one of the Jewish stories of Adam and Eve and the Garden of Eden as having some value. The value being that there's a real recognized problem, whether or not the source is clearly understood. The reality is talking about a reality that is experienced, and the idea of original sin, and that Eve ate of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and that Adam was enticed into the corruption. Well, what these things represent, and what does the snake represent? This, to me, I've come to a mind on it after thinking about it and studying many things, but Steven Pinker's presentation of the TET conference on the history of violence, talking about hunter-gatherers, that they're historically their death by violence for men was up to 60%, and the main cause of the violence was overcoming inbreeding. One of the laws of nature, of course, is what survives propagates. You can't propagate if you don't survive. And if you're inbreeding, your offsprings are not able to survive. They're genetically damaged. In nature, there are many solutions to this, but amongst humans, the Eskimos, some of them, and other tribes, had a practice of if a visiting man came through their village, he was invited to sleep with the wife or daughter in order to get some new genetics into the community. The hunter-gatherer main solution to this was to attack another tribe to get their young women. That's where the highest murder rate came from, highest death rate. So it meant that for hundreds of thousands of years, women were taken by violence and impregnated by rape. Now, what survives, propagates. The women that could accommodate this and go along, if they rebelled, they might be a death sentence for them. The ones that would go along, and I believe I've discovered the reason why. In my high school, we had a problem after the 50s with inner city rioting, mainly blacks. They had the policy of building subsidized apartments in the more affluent suburbs to get blacks integrated into the community. And I was teaching in a suburban Buffalo high school. We had a meeting, and the assistant principal said, "We've got a real problem here that we need to try and solve." And the problem was, every time they had a school dance, the black girls were left out. The black boys were attracted to the white girls, and the white girls were attracted to the black boys. But the white boys weren't attracted to the black girls. So nobody was dancing with or inviting the black girls to the dance. They'd come and nobody would dance with them. Some teachers would dance with them, and we'd encourage other students to think about that in a kindly way. But the same type of thing Olga experienced. She grew up in Armenia, and the Russian girls were attracted to the stranger, even though there was a big problem of many abuses and conflict of culture there, of resentment of the Russians, and the Russian girls would often be abused, even raped and murdered, and little done about it, little empathy. Part of it, when Olga was growing up, had maybe a resentment against Russian domination through communism, because there used to be problems in the university. There were problems in the market, giving the poor fruit to the Russians, that type of thing. And many Russians that had lived, Olga's forebears came from they were a home religious group that had escaped persecution in Russia in the 1700s and gone to Persia. And after Russia rescued Armenia from an Islamic invasion, most of the Armenians had been exterminated. That was in the 1800s. The Russian army rescued what was left, but there was so much land that these home Christians, Russians from Persia, now Iran, petitioned the Lord, and so in the mid-1800s, late 1800s, they immigrated from Persia and were given 15 hectares each in this area that had been depopulated. But so Olga grew up in a mixed culture and experienced the Kurds and Muslims, and Kurdish were Muslims, but amongst the Muslims there were different variations too of culture. But the point here is the same for the American GIs that were in Germany, and there was no difference in skin color. The German girls were attracted to the American GIs, and what it comes down to is there seems to be, to me, a genetic disposition to be attracted to the invader, because that's what survived. even accept the situation and make the most of it. So to me, going back to this folk tales having a value, the reality of the story of Garden of Eden to me is that point where the human race evolved out of the prehistoric, out of the animal stage, that is where there was no logical verbal conversation and thinking, and that the forbidden fruit was the knowledge of the association of the rape and the victimization of the father with the child, and that from that time forward women were with this association, and the disposition to survive with the resentment and manipulation to compensate for the lack of physical power or ability to defend oneself against a stronger male, that this was the start, part of the start of human existence. Logic led to the association of the rape with the child and a resentment of the child, that women are ambivalent. They can murder their child. It's legal now. You don't call it murder. Abortion is killing a life. But in Russia now they say that it's published that the average ethnic Russian woman will have 9 abortions before in her life. More abortions than live births here, and in the United States and all over. Obama was even for postpartum abortion. There's another name for it, but after birth, if the abortion failed, go ahead and kill the baby. But that's just background. That what separated, what brought the evolution of logical ability was a stress, apparently, of environment, great change in the weather patterns, and evidence that humans evolved and ate much more than what their predecessors, different variety of foods, and were able to solve problems that they didn't have to solve when living in a stable jungle environment. So so to me the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is the development of the logical ability to associate, and the fruit that Eve ate was the association of the child with the resentment of having been raped, and the snake would have, to me, association with the snake of rape. But be that as it may, the main background that has given me insight was Steve Pinker's presentation on the death rate amongst hunter-gatherer men, about 60% in some tribes, and that the rape and taken by violence would be somewhere in that vicinity too, if not higher. Incidentally, in Tajikistan last year, they had 26,000 brides stolen. So that's still going on in a culture here in the Caucasus and hereabouts. But this foundation for hunter-gatherer then is starting the trek of human development from the apes or chimpanzee type of forebearer, and that this is the foundation of the story, and it goes on until there's a wide expansion, but it goes on until there's larger settlements and farming, and then of course the domestication was a big terminator. Before that there was the higher development of civilization along the river and ocean shores, but we'll get into that as another stage in development. So this is the introduction to hunter-gatherer.